Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about something different. I'm talking about a character called Laertes in Hamlet by William Shakespeare. The plan is that I want to go through almost all these characters and just break them down, analyze them one at a time. I plan to do this for all famous Shakespearean plays as long as this plague pandemic situation continues. I hope you guys benefit. Anyways, Laertes in Hamlet. I don't recommend that you listen or watch this video before reading the actual play and before knowing what the story is, because you'll be confused and wouldn't know what's going on. Obviously, Laertes. He's a loving brother, very vengeful, and I would say violently passionate character in the play, and of course he's Polonius' son. He's not a minor character because he's the lead cause of one of the lead causes of Hamlet's death at the end of the play. He's very, I would say he's a mediocre character. A possible question may come up on the ILCs or mocks for both higher and ordinary for Laertes. I think he's a target kind of guy who's like, he's not like, the go-to, but he's also not someone that you should neglect ever in terms of like character analysis. You should know Laertes in detail, have some examples about his characterization. Who is he? What does he do? What's his point of existence in the play? He's Ophelia's brother, and he seems to love her eternally. Like, he literally loves his sister a lot, but how much does he actually prove that in the play? Now, at the beginning, when he must leave to go to France in Act 1, he asks her, this is like an evidence of how much he cares, to write him often and advises her to be wary of Hamlet's affections as they might not be sincere. Now, he's worrying about his sister's attachment to Hamlet. He just doesn't want her to get attached to someone that may hurt her one day. So this proves to us his loyalty towards his own sister, but also his control over the female gender. Keep that in mind too, alright? So as we talk, try to think about treatment of women as well. He's also careful to advise her that because Hamlet is a prince of Denmark, he will have to marry a foreign princess for political reasons. Through this, Shakespeare allows us to understand how situations or how marriage works or worked in that time, the Shakespearean Elizabethan era. When Laertes returns from France, it is because of the fact that he hears of his father's death. Of course, his father was killed accidentally by Hamlet. He spends time in Denmark gathering men and information and plotting to kill the king before he arrives at Elsinore. Now, he seems to be completely unaware of his sister's descent into madness until he sees her at the palace. Now, the thing is, knowing that he wasn't there for her when she was dying. You know how Ophelia killed herself? Jumped off a tree, fell off a tree into a river. We don't know if it's suicide or not. That's like a whole different character analysis. I'll do that later. But for now, he wasn't there for her when she needed him the most. But he was there for her when he was advising her not to marry this guy or to marry that. So he's like interfering into his sister's life, but then when she really needs him, he's not there. Some things you can, this is like food for information. Like, you can just, use these. Seeing Ophelia acting in a deranged manner devastates Laertes, and he says, "O heat, dry up my brains, tears 7 times salt, burn out the sense and virtue of mine eye." A quote that you can use for when it comes to analyzing him and invoking this example. He vows to avenge her madness, and he says, "By heaven, thy madness shall be paid by weight, till our scale turn the beam." So he is on a quest to avenge his father, because he was killed by Hamlet, and his sister. Now, we don't know what drove his sister mad. A lot of critics and people that, analyze say that it was because of Hamlet's, he just didn't care about her and stuff like that, drove her mad, but some others say that's just, randomly. So yeah. However, despite the obvious sincerity of his emotions, we might be critical of Laertes' response to his sister's troubled condition. Now, when Ophelia clearly needs loving support and careful attention, Laertes chooses to stay with the king discussing revenge. So this is very important because Ophelia's dying. Laertes, instead of being there with her because she lost her mind, and he's trying like sort of being a brother, being a good brother, and being there for her. He stays with the king, and when I say the king, I mean Claudius, planning together on how they would get Hamlet. All right. It is while he is with the king that Ophelia falls into the stream and is drowned. So when he comes back, actually, and he sits with Laertes, it is exactly then when she falls off the tree branch or whatever, and then falls into the stream and is drowned. Some people say that it's not a tree. Some people just say it's just she falls and dies. But you don't have to know these details. Just know that she falls into a stream and is drowned. And while she has gone through this miserable situation, Laertes, her brother, was with the king Claudius discussing how to kill Hamlet. All right. You can call Laertes a villain if you wanted to, or a loving brother, or a vengeful person. Depends on what you want to argue, all right? So you got to choose your keywords carefully. Now, he's vengeful and he's violently passionate, and his reappearance in the play in Act 4 is very dramatic. And they might ask you, do you believe that Laertes is a dramatic player or character in the play Hamlet by William Shakespeare? You should be able to, know how to answer that. Enraged at hearing of his father's death and quick and undignified burial, because his father wasn't really, buried in a dignifying manner, he secretly returns from his studies in France to Denmark. Rumors then arise that, like in Denmark, that the king had something to do with Polonius' death, and so Laertes quickly gathers together an army of men willing to revolt against Claudius. Great, so now Laertes wants to go against Claudius, wants to also go against Hamlet. All right, so there are a lot of because Hamlet, he's thinking, hold on, Hamlet killed my sister maybe, but Claudius has something to do with Polonius' death, my dad, because he's the one who planned that that Polonius should be hiding behind the curtain or the arras so that he spies on his daughter for information. So he's trying to get revenge. He's avenging his father, he's avenging his sister from Claudius and from Hamlet. Now, in Act 4, Scene 4, he manages to storm the castle and gain entry to the king and queen, and only Claudius' composure and carefully measured words prevent his own death. So Claudius saves his own life through his proper usage of words. All right, he's a skewed politician. I'm talking about Claudius. It is remarkable how violently passionate Laertes is. Now, whether as Hamlet has to make an effort to feel such intense anger, Laertes seems capable at a moment's notice of taking bloody revenge. Now, when he sees his sister in the terrible state of madness, his response is one of shock, followed swiftly by a pledge to avenge her condition. As I mentioned earlier, a more considerate and beneficial response might have been to spend time with Ophelia rather than planning vengeance on who did this to you and what I'm gonna do and how and all that. Even as he stands over her grave at the end of the play, he's still swearing vengeance. He says something like, "O treble vow, fall 10 times treble on that cursed head, whose wicked deed thy most ingenious sense deprived thee of." So I suggest that you guys Google what I just said, the quotes themselves, so you don't have to write them down. Just copy paste them from a reliable source online or your books. That'll be even better, so that you don't misspell or miswrite something. Remember, when you're directly quoting, it's very important that everything is identical to how it's written in the play, so you don't just paraphrase it, because then it's no longer a direct quote. Laertes' violently passionate nature is also indicated by the fact that he claims he would be willing to murder Hamlet in a church. And he says to cut his throat in the church. Thing is, this is highly immoral, and it's believed to be a work of a devil to kill someone in a church. It's completely against the religious views and of Christianity or any other religion, matter of fact, to kill someone inside a sacred place like a church. So he's willing to go that far to avenge his own sister, right? This is in stark contrast to Hamlet's hesitation when he found Claudius at prayer. Remember that scene when Hamlet didn't want to kill Claudius while he was praying because he would, he would sentence him to heaven. So he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he had the perfect opportunity to do that. He just doesn't because, it's also immoral to kill someone when they're praying. So that's the difference between Hamlet and Laertes in terms of these ideologies. Perhaps, however, Laertes is not given an opportunity in the play to reveal his better qualities. Circumstances have been hard, and to lose a father and a sister in such a short space of time is an extremely difficult thing to deal with. Hamlet speaks well of Laertes in the final scene of the play, ironically because, even though they fought and they killed each other, he speaks well of him. And he says, "I am very sorry, good Horatio, that to Laertes I forgot myself. For by the image of my cause I see the portraiture of his." So the prince also tells Osric that he takes Laertes to be a soul of a great article. So there's praise here. Hamlet speaks well of Laertes. So be careful when you're invoking this. If you call Laertes a villain, you remember Hamlet is calling him a nice guy. Indeed, Laertes' better temperament is shown when he accepts Hamlet's apology for his behavior at Ophelia's grave. Remember how Hamlet says, "I love her," or "I love you more than 40,000 brothers," or something like that. This is not a direct quote, but it's something like this was said. Just before he fatally wounds the prince, Laertes speaks of his discomfort at what he is about to do, and yet it is almost against my conscience, that's what he says. And when it's too late, he sees the king's treachery. He now realizes, wow, Claudius is the one who I should have been against all along, and realizes that he has been used by Claudius in a foul scheme to have the prince killed. So he should have killed Claudius when he had the chance. As he lies dying, he asks Hamlet to exchange forgiveness with him. So, yes, he succeeds. He kills Hamlet, but he doesn't really succeed with the plan because Claudius was the one who plotted everything. He was right at the beginning to plot against Claudius because he had to do something with Polonius, but then he let him go. Meanwhile, he was in the castle, and the only thing that saved Claudius from dying is his own ability to manipulate words and make Laertes, befriend Laertes in a way. So basically, Claudius manipulated Laertes in a certain sense and turned him against Hamlet, blaming him for Ophelia's death and Polonius' death as well. Claudius kind of succeeds with that because Hamlet dies, but also Claudius dies and Laertes dies. Everybody dies. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. In case you have any questions, please drop them down below. Bye bye.